Good morning, everyone. So, as promised, the focus discussion is what causes renal failures in dogs. Uh, basis my recent experience, of course, but we have enough substantiating material available on internet for access, which you might be aware of already. So, one side of the story is how much information you have, and a very major determining factor is how accurate that information is. So, please be very sure about it. So what led him into this problem is obviously an infection that he had attracted. It's called Babesia gibsoni. So that worsened the situation, which also come to my notice that it's got a lot to do with lifestyle management for years altogether. As you would know, kidneys are the filters in the body. They take away the toxins, throw out toxic water, keep the blood pure only by keeping pure water in the system. So while traditionally we might think if the animal is urinating enough, if he has a normal diet, if he has increased thirst, it's just natural. Mm, the fact is that if he is urinating more and he's drinking more water than usual, there probably is more to worry about, because that is a sign of that's one of the initial signs of kidney failure. Whenever you doubt something of that sort, the fastest thing, what you need to do, the fastest is get a blood sample test done, because once you have the blood test done, you'd have the creatinine values. It's called the Bun value. And once you do that, so how much is the urea in the system, which is the toxic substance which causes the rest of the damage to the tissues of the body. So today he is lethargic. He is not really moving around too much. He's obviously not at all expressive. He hasn't barked for days. So you stay fairly lifeless. That is the point. Also, to add to the misery is the attitude of the vets. And I don't know if I am to blame in India alone or not, because I don't have too much experience of taking pets around in foreign countries. I've not done it, so I won't comment on it, good or bad. But in my view, it is so commercialized these days. Majority of the food that you're finding in the market by a variety of brand names, I don't know how reliable they are, because they may have quantities of lead present in them. They might have substances that the dog's body registers as toxins. So I would recommend homemade food for dogs right from the start. And there are no two ways about it. That is the safest food that your dog can have, which will keep a system running and clean. You may not look gigantic, but you don't want to have a gigantic dog with failed kidneys, do you? Or a compromised liver. So please feed him with clean food and clean water. This is one myth that many of us breed. Apart from people who are really aware of it, I've seen a lot of people think that dogs may not be impacted by a little bit of dirt and water, or a minimal count of germs, but it's actually the other way around. In my experience, I've learned they have a far more delicate body than human beings, and they're far more susceptible to contracting diseases. So, and the worst part, they can't even tell you. So they may express, or that is the emotional aspect of it, but they can't tell you exactly when it hurts them, where it hurts them. So a lot of investigation takes place post we have hit the bad spot, and then time is running out of your hands and everything needs to be done quickly, and it's an emotional journey with a lot of pain. And if you have too much on your plate at that very time, you may not operate very efficiently. So with the vets, if your vet is saying that, well, his chances of survival are 30%. And let's say the vet is located 10 kilometers away from your home. I don't think it's very practical for you to take your dog for an IV shots there. To add to the horror, I realized that, so recently I had got someone home to give him IV because I did not want to travel with him anymore. He has to climb down 2 levels. Well, that's a physical limitation probably that applies to me, but you may be living in an apartment which is on the 3rd floor or 4th floor. You don't plan these things in life, do you? But it is problem for the dog, to walk around. So don't take it to the vet. Call someone home. Now, what I observed is, for a medicine that cost 29 rupees, and I read the label, the vet was charging a 720. The only thing he was doing was injecting it into his vein. I know that there is a premium that we pay for knowledge, but do you see what the premium was that the vet was charging me? And when I did that home, it cost me 120 rupees. So unless you have and spending more money illogically does not mean you love your pet more, in my view. I may be wrong, but it is good if we apply our intelligence. They are just giving multiple medicines at the same time. Now, I'm sure you're aware again, but I want to re-emphasize it just so that you don't miss it. Once the medicine is given, again it hits the kidney, okay? So it has to be processed from the same organ. And adding all these medicines is going to add to the workload of these very compromised kidneys. So you're in fact worsening the situation. And that's what my vet was doing, unfortunately. One of the vets. So I met 3 people. Only one of them told me very honestly that there is nothing that a doctor can do now. Whatever could be done is remedial, and that could be carried out at home too. So why don't you give him a lot of care? Why don't you keep him somewhere, wherever he wants to sit? And dogs are territorial creatures, okay? They love their territory. So he loves his home. He loves to see things around him that he's used to seeing. He likes his space. That will add to the psychological comfort that the dog experiences during this time of acute pain, misery, and feeling helpless. I think it's stupid if we take dogs around to vets, any animal for that matter. I used to think that they operate with a lot of emotional intelligence. Unfortunately, it's just, for majority of them, especially the popular ones, the ones who are most popular are the most pompous. So they give you a token number, you have to take the token number, you have to stand in the queue and wait for your turn. So apart from a couple of days when I blew my lid and I said that he is critical, so the case that you are addressing or attending to right now is not as critical. Why don't you switch turns? And it took so much of talking for them to act upon it. And that is surprising. So I think the biggest crime that we could commit is by encouraging that behavior. We should just refuse taking their services if they are doing that to your pet. See, your pet cannot talk. You will have to do the talking to them. You have to. It's fine if they are doctors. You can educate them on behavioral norms. You can tell them that this is not the way to attend to a case. I heard the word death far too many times in that day, and my mother was with me, who is 64 years old. I don't want you to say flat in her face that he won't make it. That is not a very intelligent doctor. He needs to have an emotional edge. And I'm talking about one of the most popular doctors. Why I'm not naming him or her is because that's immaterial. I care the least for how he prospers or does not. The worst thing was that he tried to market an air freshener in the bargain he said that, well, see, you can keep such things in the house to keep odor away. I love my dog's odor. So I wonder why I heard that at that time. But giving too many medicines won't help. Being on food manufactured in factories will not help. Packaged food this is not the time for it. If you have a dog that has compromised kidneys, you need to give it the lightest food possible, probably not as nutritious. It has to have very moderate levels of protein. It needs to have more of omega-3 fatty acids, things that you would not take as a norm. Like his diet is now absolutely contrary to my diet, for instance. Because now his body cannot process excellent food. He has to live on average food. So that I increase the time span that he has with us, because I want it, and I'm sure you want it for your pet too. So don't think doctors are experts and they alone are experts. They don't have one very important thing that you have for your dog: the emotional responsibility that you hold for your pet. You cannot expect that from these guys. They've seen, it's not even their fault, because they've seen far too many dogs die to be affected by them anymore. They see cases dying on the table, just the way they speak. What is your token number? What is your case number? Those are the ways of talking. So please be mindful, and I will post as much material as I can, relevant material, and do keep in touch for any form of anything that I could do to save a day for your pet. I'd be glad to do it. It's not a matter of time at all. We have to make time for things that we love. So we will do it. Thank you.